150 awareness through piano movement lessons to try and explain all this. So good luck. And a lot of people, they read my first book, The Craft of Piano Playing, which is translated into German, by the way. And like, Alan, great book, but it's way too long. Who's going to read all that stuff? And then I wrote 3 more after that. The 4th of which is here. Play the piano with your whole self. So in the 3rd one, there's this picture of the thumb and the fingers like this, and it's kind of like a 70-degree angle about. And it's called the balcony position. So some Chicago pianist named Louise Robine wrote some great little books called Technic Tales. And she has this thing called the balcony position, where you see clearly the thumb is carrying the whole hand. It's kind of like a cantilever structure. Cantilever structure, I don't know what the German word for it is. It's when there's a balcony in a building and there's no pole holding up the balcony. It just goes out like that. And it's called cantilever. So here, the thumb is a cantilever structure, and all this is just, it's not supported out here until you play the key, of course. It's supported by the thumb. And so the balcony position means the thumb is the mommy, and the fingers are the babies, and they went to the movie house, and they went upstairs, and they're in the balcony of the movie theater. Oh, and the babies can't see over the railing, so the mommy picks them up, and now they can watch the movie. Okay, so that's the balcony position. But there's something very profound in it, because this thumb's hip joint is way back here, and that's why it has to function so differently. And when we try to make the thumb 20% of the hand, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, then we're trying to play, and there's always this bump on the thumb. It's like, because you can't make it like the fingers. It's not like the fingers. It's very different. It's attached to the hand at a completely different point. So it's like the ugly duckling. Yeah, for sure you know that Grimm's fairy tale, the ugly duckling, where he actually turned out to be a swan, way, way better than a duck. But as long as you treat him as a duck, he's just ugly and awkward. But when he's a swan, oh my God, then he can carry the entire hand. He can actually carry all the ducks. But you have to get into the difference between flexion and opposition. Yeah? So the thumb's going to stand up on this note. Now, once he's standing up, there can be this walking. Walking is horizontal. Now I walk over here. Can't see very well, so I'll do it. The thumb stands up, and the arm feels the thumb standing up. And of course, if the thumb stands up, then it's the arm which is stood up. So the arm stands up too. And then so the arm is carrying the thumb from one stand up to another stand up. So you hear very clearly, that is a phrase. And the the fingers and the thumb are responsible for making tones. And the arm is responsible for joining those tones. So by definition, if you have a weighted touch, you do not have a phrase. You have a musical mind trying to make a phrase, and you have your physical mechanism going against those musical intentions. And when you unweight your touch, you can even lie down, but that's not a weighted touch. collapse is simply, I lay down. Again, it's this dialogue, this cooperation between the legs and the upper part of the body. When I lie down, I lie down. I don't on the floor. Yeah? So, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious the difference in the music that comes out of the piano. The soundboard is amazingly sensitive. Any shock, any little compression, the soundboard feels it as a shock, and the sound is not pure. And you see, the thing is, this finger here is a lever. Now look, it's still a lever. Oh look, it's still a lever. Which way the lever is pointing is irrelevant. It's a lever. It's a freely moving thing. Yeah, it's got a fulcrum, a hinge point, and it wiggles. Yeah, like a seesaw. Yeah? So the key is also a lever. Yeah, it's going up and down. But so it's not weight that makes it go up and down. It's just something is moving it. Something is launching it into action. See, so the fact that it's going up and down, that's just by accident. It could move the same way like this. It could move the same way like that. So when I simply move it like that, as if it's the same as if it was like this, or I don't care, but it's like this, okay. But I'm not falling down to move it, I'm just moving it. When I get to the bottom, I don't crunch it, I don't compress it, I don't block it. In other words, it's as if there's a thin layer of fluid at the bottom and I bounce off that fluid, and even if I stay there, I'm balanced on that fluid. Do you know what synovial fluid is? Synovial fluid is the fluid in a joint. So between every two bones, there's a thin cushion of fluid. So the bones don't grind against each other. And actually, I don't know, well, I can't do it anymore. Can anybody pop their knuckles? That popping, no, I can't. Almost. Some people can crack their neck or crack. That popping sound, there's a little bag with fluid in it, and when you pull the joint apart, that bag expands, and now the bag is bigger than the amount of liquid in the bag. And so a little vacuum appears, a vacuum bubble appears in the bag, and that's the sound of the knuckle cracking. When you crack your knuckles, it's a little vacuum bubble appearing in the synovial fluid between the joints. Isn't that weird? It's very, very strange. So look, here, imagine synovial fluid. As soon as I compress this key, so many of you play to the bottom of the key, hold the key like that. That's not a lever. It was a lever while it can move. As soon as it can't move, it's not a lever anymore. It's dead. Not only that, when you're pressing that lever like that, your finger is not a lever anymore because it can't move, or it can only move with difficulty. As soon as you're not pressing it, but just, you hold it there, but as if you're holding it on the escapement. Oh, look, my finger's free to move. The key is free to move. Let the key push your finger back up. Feel the key pushing your finger back up. Develop sensitivity to the key. Develop a capacity to interact with the key. Develop a capacity to feel the weight of the hammer, and just play a game with yourself, a thought experiment, a perceptual game. Is that hammer, that's 32, how much does that hammer weigh? 32 grams? Or, I don't know, is it 52 grams? Is it 100 grams? How heavy is the hammer? So by playing this game, you are interacting with the key. You are developing a living sensory relationship with the key, instead of and now you have to go like this in order to get rid of all the tension you just created. When you're like this, there's no tension created. There's just movement and freedom, and movement and freedom, and movement and freedom, and movement and freedom. Yeah? So this stand-up here allows me not to compress the key, but to release it. You hear there are many variations that can be very soft, a little louder, Chopin used to drive his students nuts because the first lesson with Frédéric Chopin was 2 hours on one note. And he would say, look, you can diagonally like this, you can straight down and pluck the straight down, and it was all the hundreds of ways you could touch one key. And he would say, you listen, the sound's different. Oh, that one's different. That one's different. So of course, the physicists, they say, that's impossible. The only thing that can affect piano sound is the speed of the hammer. But of course, as I demonstrated yesterday, if you fall into the key, there are lots of static interference vibrations, and if you stand up on the key, there's virtually nothing. So that's going to have a huge effect on your sound, and there are hundreds of degrees of percussion that you can introduce on purpose or avoid. As the key moves, if you move it very quickly, the acceleration of the hammer actually bends the hammer shank. The hammer is on the end of a stick, and if it goes very quickly, it actually bends and unbends on the way up, like a whip. So the degree to which you add speed, or the point at which you introduce the greatest amount of acceleration, is going to bend the hammer shank more or less, which changes the angle at which the hammer hits the string, introducing another tonal variation element. So the physicists, to reduce it to, it's just the velocity of the hammer. They're ignoring, if they were good physicists, they would look at the whole picture and not just one aspect of a very complex picture. So there's a lot of good reasons why Chopin would spend all this time on one note. So we've done big chords, we've done a lyrical passage. Yeah, the difference between standing, lying down. I'm sort of rambling a little bit here, but you're all new, so there's so much ground to cover. How do I cover it in a way that makes sense? So if you have questions or something's unclear, please raise your hand. But as I said, I had 4 big books, and most people don't read them because they're too long. So I had created last year a method, a children's method. But it turns out that my grown-ups are all enjoying it more than their kids even, because it's good for them. Where I took those 250 awareness through piano movement lessons and reduced them to 28. And so the whole first, again, the hand is a mini body. Well, every child, all of us, took about a year lying around on the floor before we ever even dreamed of standing up. You know, the baby is lying on its belly, it's rolling around, it's raising its head, it's trying to stand up by pushing its legs on the ground, but the head stays on the ground too, so the ass is the highest part. And this is called the 1-year pre-standing apprenticeship that we all went through as human beings. And many valuable things were learned there. The baby's lying on his stomach and it looks up. Oh, that's the beginning of extension. Well, if I can't extend, I can't sit up and I can't stand up. Oh, it looks over its shoulder. Oh, it rolled over on its back by accident. Oh, what was that? It's learning rotation. If I'm walking, if I'm not rotating, it's going to be completely stiff walking. It's bending sideways, it's bending sideways. And literally hundreds of movements and organizations of the body that are necessary in order to stand up and walk. It's very complex. Nobody, as Feldenkrais said, nobody learns to walk by walking. No, there's this whole huge preparation. Every pianist, the first day, stand up, walk. So no wonder, take a 1-year-old baby, they were born yesterday, stand up, walk. There's no way. The bones of the sacrum, you know, the sacrum here is like 7 vertebrae. The tailbone, the middle of you can see it, there's the outline of 7 individual vertebrae which are now fused into one bone. When we are born, those bones aren't fused. A baby, when it comes out, the bones of the sacrum are still individual. And then they fuse together. I don't know whether it's the first month or the first couple of months, but before we can sit up and stand up and walk, those bones have to fuse. So when we come out, they're still not fused. It's so weird. Like the steps of evolution and the steps of the development of the body, it's really a miracle. So the pianists the first thing we did, we had to stand up to play a note. So of course we're going to be tense. Of course we're going to, oh, like, how do you do it? So the whole thing, first thing in pianos is to lie the hand down. And if you just lay the hand down on your, and let the weight of your hand like sink into your knee, you will feel, again, the body lets go. Because we go to the piano and we're like this, already we're like this. Like, my hand knows that it's going to have to withstand a weighted touch. So the hand is going to have to resist the weight of the arm. So the hand is already getting set. Somebody's about to hit me, you know. And then we play, and then we respond and everything like that. You can see before a pianist plays one note in a lesson, I know what I'm going to tell them, because some hands they're sort of over relaxed, or some hands are overly tense, or somehow they're kind of in the middle but not sure. There's a quality of touch which we all bring, which is the result of our history. So if you just lay the hand on your knee like this, all of a sudden the connection of this skeletal structure to this skeletal structure becomes clear. And the shoulder can let go. You can even increase the shoulder let go if you rock your pelvis sideways a little bit, like that, while the hand is like resting really secure on the knee. You can go back and forth and just feel all the ways the shoulder begins to let go and to move and to breathe, because this hand feels secure. And when I stand up for the first, I don't feel secure. So let's wait a little. Let's lie the hand down on the body, on the keys, and do this kind of a movement. So if you do this kind of a movement on your knee, then and move that body back, then again something lets go. If you do this and move the body forward, something engages more. It's like, oh, the muscles engaged. Oh, here the muscles let go. Both are valuable. This engaging and this letting go. I could roll the hand this way. If you, maybe it's not so good to roll off the, maybe you could roll it a little bit. Just roll the hand over on your leg. Roll the hand over the thumb until it's lying on the thumb, and just leave it there. Don't go further. Just go halfway. So it's actually compressing the thumb. It's kind of like giving this thumb a massage, and balance on the thumb like that. And again, feel what's happening in the shoulder. Does the shoulder let go more? Does it kind of half engage, half let go? Does it move forward? Does it move back? If I rock sideways as I'm rolling on my thumb like this, what are the feelings of connection or letting go all the way through the arm, all the way through the shoulder into the body, yeah, like that. So that's another, we can go even farther and lie the inside of the hand, that's the inside of the second finger, we'll lie it down on the keys as well. So you can go like this and then go past this point of balance on the thumb and touch the, oh my God. And then again, move the body around while the hand is lying on this inner edge, and just feel how does the wrist let go even more? How does the elbow let go even more? How does the shoulder, does it let go or does it engage? And if it engages, does it engage in a tense way or in a kind of a breathing, vital, responsive way, an elastic way? Yeah? And then again, you move the body around so that the arm gets straighter or more bent, or so that the arm rolls a little more this way or a little more that way. All the time with the hand feeling secure. Like a baby in a mommy's arms, or like the baby on the ground. The baby hasn't a care in the world, and especially it's not thinking about standing up, which is extremely complex. Yeah? No, but there's a preparation. There's a preparation, which is the more security I can feel in my hand, the more let go there is through the whole system, and the more there will come a point when I just stand up totally naturally. I don't even think about it. Because all the amount of flexion and the amount of extension and all the complex relationships, somehow all these preparatory steps I took, all of that was kind of worked out. And, oh, stand up. It's normal. Because now there's a certain engagement, but it's not tight, it's not loose. It's that magic in between too tight and too loose. It's activation. So any truly movement will be perceived as effortless because it's the bones doing most of the work. Look, there's this wonderful bony structure here. That's what stood me up. The muscles are helping a little bit. And that activation can be quite high tonus. But tonus is holding contractions that help you move. Tension is holding contractions that stop you moving. Relaxation is not enough contractions to do anything. You can't move. You're basically dead. So much of the talk in terms of piano pedagogy goes, oh, we have to address tension. We have to get rid of tension. How do we do that? We relax. So from this structural, functional point of view, which I'm presenting today, that's like just oscillating back and forth between two extremes and ignoring the middle, which is a skeletally aware engagement of the muscles. And many pianists, especially when you're trying to avoid injury and there's tendonitis and we've got to, don't activate. Because for them, activating is tensing. But like activating a muscle that contracts and creates movement is no longer tense. It made the movement and now it's neutral again. It made the movement and 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 it's neutral again. Why? And so it's not tense and it's not relaxed. It's engaged, it's active, it's responsive, it's vital, it's sensitive and constantly making micro adjustments to maintain this state where I'm active, I'm standing up, my skeleton is working for me, and I'm not tense, but I'm not relaxed either. I'm alive, I'm moving. Relaxation is not movement. Activation, where there's no block, is movement. Tension, that's a block, not movement. Relaxed, dead, not movement. Activate. The wisdom of the skeleton is what allows you to move well. So we come to the piano and we play